So you've got some scenes here of an upcoming off-road video. I will find the time to edit up for us, but in a nutshell, the 4th Gen Tacoma did amazing. That's coming later, but why you click this video is to see this Rugcel 13,500 pound tank set up in a snatch ring single point configuration. And then after we demoed that here, we're going to show you a little close-up of the unboxing and discussion over that same winch. So stick around.
Look at this. Camera does not do it justice, but this is so nice. Alright, I've got my truck just over the crest of this hill. We'll be testing a winch, and we will be doing so with a snatch ring, a soft shackle, and a tree saver, this large yellow strap. Now we're going to be doing this with the snatch ring. We're going to effectively double the strength of the winch, which we don't need here, but we're just going to show you how it's done. Back to my truck right over the crest of this hill. So on the 4th Gen Tacoma, I used to have my winch set up where I had a clutch adjuster right here. I could turn the clutch for free spool, or to be able to pull like back to tug with the winch. But when I traded my winch out because Warren screwed me, more on that later, I did not install that yet. So the clutch is permanently engaged at this time. I have a battery cutoff for the winch, as you should for safety purposes. So turning that on now, the winch is now active. Okay, and then this is the Rugcel 13,500 pound tank, and with the wireless remote, and I'm just going to spool it out to the tree. So of course the downside to not being able to free spool is it takes a moment, but I mean it's not really a big deal. I'm almost halfway there. Now, yes, this is synthetic line, and when synthetic line snaps, it is not near as lethal as steel cable. It does not store the kinetic energy that steel cable does. With that being said, for safety purposes, I'm still going to put a damper between the halfway point and slightly closer to where if the line did snap or something snapped on the tree somehow, it won't launch anything back towards me or the truck. And because I forgot my damper at home, I'll be using this. "500 pounds of dirty laundry." So what I'm going to do over here now, give myself a little more slack. I'm going to send this through the snatch ring, just like that. Get my soft shackle off to the side a little bit, but keep the snatch ring on this abrasion point, just like that. Okay, and notice my tree saver is not kinked at all. And I'm going to walk this back to the D-ring on the front of my truck. Again, this is not eliminating, but doubling the strength of the winch. We'll see if this is long enough. I think I'm going to have to drive a little closer. If you're wondering what that small rubber piece is right there on top of my dirty laundry, that's the hook saver that it rests between the truck's bumper and the hook. So that's where the hook likes to sit when it's in storage. Oh, we're doing good. Now, of course, I don't want to remove, I will look through that, the fair lead, to make sure I've got still some multiple loops on my winch and I'm not zeroed out, because then I have a risk of it just ripping off the winch spool. In fact, the winch line will start looking different when I'm getting dangerously close to the end. Oh, see, look. Now I'm not doing good. So now I'm going to spool some back in, and I'm going to drive my truck a little closer. Whoop. All right, let's take up the slack by keeping a little bit of tension on the rope. And still a little too much slack. Nice. Good tension. I'm now going to take the parking brake off my truck, and because I will not be in the truck, I'll put it in neutral as well. Oh. I also did not run the line back through the bag. And here we go. Oh. There's next to no weight on this line at all. The truck's in neutral on a very mild grade, but if you come look here, you'll see exactly what the snatch ring is doing. It's acting as a pulley right here.
Line's sweating.
Yep. All that humidity.
All the water, yeah.
All that humidity. Alright, so if we follow the line to look at the setup now and see what I've got going on here, you'll see, again, line with tension on it, snatch ring. Okay, so limb saver, soft shackle, snatch ring, now with a synthetic line going through it, makeshift damper, the winch itself, you can ignore this just sits right here, and then so it goes out and back around and connects to my truck right here. It just overlaps over itself and continues to feed. So, give me a second to complain about worn. I had a worn winch in here. I broke, surprisingly, when I was turning the clutch handle on it, a tiny metal pin, which is the weak point of that winch, I guess. It was an Evo 10S, snapped. And I wrote worn and said, hey guys, this tiny pin broke. Can you hook me up and replace this tiny, tiny metal pin and I'll repair it myself? They said, give me proof of purchase like any business would. Well, I looked and I could not find my proof of purchase to save my life. And okay, rightfully, they told me to kick rocks, but it still annoyed me they would not back up their product and give me a tiny metal pin I needed to make my winch work again. So instead, since basically all winches are made overseas now, including most of Warren's line, except for their $5,000 winches, I went with Rugcel and went with the 13,500 pound tank winch, and it's been great so far. This came with it. Obviously the Fairlead came with it, but this well painted, this sounds silly I'm talking about this, but a lot of times your hooks that come with winches, at least like cheaper winches, are trash. Well, this is a very nice one, and this paint has not bubbled, cracked, rusted, or anything, or corroded in the time I've had it. So I love that about the winch, but it's hidden back there, as you would expect, and it's been great. Well, more powerful, at least on paper, than the Warren was, and the reviews agree. For the money, it's an excellent winch. So the the Rugcel 13,500 pound tank series winch, I can comfortably recommend. Also, on the topic of winches, I've pulled out a couple vehicles in the winters from ditches, but I find a winch to be so much more useful when you're pulling things that are too heavy to move yourself, like across your land, across your property. Maybe a tree fell in your yard. That's where winches really shine. When I hunted last season, my winch pulled the deer up into the tree, and so I could, dress the deer. But a winch has so many more purposes than just off-roading and pulling someone out of a ditch.